Welcome back to NBC News. Today, we will dive into the shocking storyline shaking Salem and the entire days of our lives fan community. The daring escape plot and calculated kidnapping orchestrated by Sophia Choi. In the latest developments from the next week episode of Days of Our Lives, a silent storm is brewing within the stark, icy white walls of Bayview Psychiatric Hospital. Here, the line between recovery and total collapse grows thinner than ever, especially as Sophia Choi, portrayed by Rachel Boyd, begins weaving an intricate psychological trap aimed at the deeply scarred Rachel Black. What viewers are about to witness is far more than a traditional escape attempt. It is a masterclass in manipulation, where Sophia's twisted maternal obsession collides with Rachel's innocent rebellion, creating a disaster neither the DiMera nor Price families could have anticipated. Darkness at Bayview, a dangerous alliance. Brady Black, a father desperately seeking healing for his daughter, placed all his trust in Bayview. His biggest concern was Rachel's emotional recovery after years of family turmoil. Seeing her open up, finally making a new friend, gave Brady a glimmer of hope, a sense that she was stepping out of the shadows at last. What he didn't know was that Rachel's new friend was none other than Sophia Choi, a woman consumed by hatred and a deranged desire to reclaim her biological son, baby Trey. Sophia didn't choose Rachel at random. She saw in her a fractured Sula child who felt abandoned, misunderstood, and aching for validation. A perfect mold. Instead of helping Rachel heal, Sophia played the role of a sympathetic big sister, a fellow victim of adults who don't understand. She fed Rachel the idea that the world had wronged them both, and that the only path to justice was to take matters into their own hands. Rachel, with her fiery DiMera blood and rebellious streak, slowly began to fall into Sophia's sweetly poisoned web, believing that helping Sophia escape was her chance to prove her strength. The escape plan, a pawn sacrificed. As the week of December 15, 19 unfolds, Sophia's plan evolves from quiet psychological manipulation into bold action. She needs chaos now to overwhelm Bayview's security systems, and Rachel becomes the key that unlocks that door. Sophia paints a dramatic picture in Rachel's mind. She must get out to rescue her son from those she believes are unworthy of raising him, Johnny and Chanel. To Rachel, this sounds like a heroic mission, a grand adventure where she finally matters. The details of the escape are chillingly precise. Sophia likely coaches Rachel into creating a staged emergency, perhaps a violent psychological breakdown, or even setting a small fire in the common room. As doctors, nurses, and security rush to contain the panic and safeguard the other patients, Sophia slips into the blind spot created by the chaos. Stealing a staff access card or sneaking through service corridors, she vanishes into the night outside Salem before anyone even notices she's missing. Her cruelty lies in the fact that she leaves Rachel behind to face the consequence, turning the child into the sacrificial pawn that buys her freedom. DiMera nightmare. Trey disappears. Sophia's escape is only the first step. Her true target is Trey, and she wastes no time. While Johnny and Chanel are busy settling into their new life, believing Sophia is safely tucked away in treatment, their past quietly slips back into their home and takes their child. Trey's kidnapping is swift and eerie, leaving behind nothing but a void of terror. To make matters worse, a catastrophic misunderstanding takes hold. The DiMera and Price families immediately assume Trey's disappearance is connected to the constant threats shadowing the DiMera legacy. They suspect an old enemy, a business rival, or even organized crime, seeking ransom or revenge against Stefano's heirs. This false assumption gives Sophia a massive advantage. While police and private investigators chase imaginary ghosts, she gains precious hours to execute the next phase of her plan. The Great Escape. Sophia vanishes into the world. The most gripping part of this storyline is Sophia's escape with Trey. It isn't just a reckless run, it's a calculated exodus. She may have secured fake documents, an untraceable vehicle, and an escape route designed to bypass police checkpoints. Picture Sophia cradling Trey as she disappears into the crowds at a bus terminal or airport, her appearance expertly disguised. Her determination is terrifying. She isn't merely fleeing Salem, she's fleeing reality itself, convinced she can build a new life in a distant place where Johnny and Chanel will never find her. If she manages to board a plane and leave before authorities piece everything together, it would be a devastating blow to both law enforcement and the DiMera family. Sophia's escape isn't just a crime, it is the beginning of a long, agonizing nightmare for Johnny and Chanel. They haven't only lost their child, they must live with the guilt of failing to recognize the true threat. Meanwhile, Rachel Black, left behind at Bayview, will be forced to confront the painful truth that she was used as a pawn, an emotional blow that may fracture her already fragile psyche even further. Sophia Coy's escape sets the stage for a dark new chapter of Days of Our Lives, promising explosive confrontations and heart-stopping twists in the episodes ahead. Next, we will learn about the issue sending shockwaves through Salem, a buried secret beneath the DiMera estate, a fractured alliance inside the catacombs, and a discovery that threatens to expose the mastermind lurking behind the recent disappearances. Tuesday, December 9, 2025 marks a pivotal episode of Days of Our Lives, one in which loyalties crumble, suspicions sharpen, and a single human bone becomes the spark for a mystery darker than anything the DiMeras have faced in years. As Salem goes about its daily chaos above ground, a far more perilous battle is unfolding beneath the Sitchin, fought not with weapons, but with betrayal, desperation, and a fragile hope for survival. Leo's awakening, threads of betrayal unraveled. While the DiMeras trapped underground claw their way toward escape, another storm is brewing on the surface. Leo Stark, ever the self-proclaimed sleuth, finally pieces together a truth that has been teasing him for weeks. Gwen and EJ, unlikely as it sounds, are working together. What began as a nagging suspicion now crystallizes into certainty as Leo recalls whispered conversations, unexplained disappearances, and Gwen's sudden surge in confidence. To Leo, this revelation is more than gossip fodder, it is a catalyst. He begins connecting dots that others in Salem have overlooked, bank transactions that disappeared too cleanly, EJ's erratic outbursts, and Gwen's suspiciously timed attempts to reform her image. The idea that Gwen and EJ might be orchestrating something far larger than personal revenge lights a fire in Leo, pushing him to pry deeper into the shadows the DiMeras cast. What he does not yet realize is that while he's busy uncovering their partnership, the DiMeras themselves are fighting for their lives beneath a brittle ceiling of dirt and stone. Rafe's ultimatum. Kat faces the heat. Back at the police station, Rafa Hernandez reaches the end of his patience with Kat. Rumors have already begun circulating about her involvement or interference in the ongoing investigation into the missing DiMeras. Rafa publicly scolds her, not only for disobeying instructions, but for placing others at risk with her reckless attempts to help. Kat tries to justify her actions, insisting that the Salem PD is moving too slowly, that she alone is willing to follow the unconventional paths others ignore. But Rafa is unmoved. With a stern voice that echoes through the station, he reminds her that this isn't a game, and that every misstep could cost a DiMera their life. Despite the reprimand, Kat leaves with more resolve than before. Rafe's warnings ignite a different instinct in her instinct that tells her the police are missing something crucial, and she might be the only person who can uncover it. The Tomb Keeper's breaking point. Deep below Salem, Tony DiMera is dozing off in understandable luxury in a tomb with no clocks, no sunlight, and no sense of time. Around him, the Tomb Keepers, as they've begun calling themselves out of dark humor, are engaged in a heated debate. Chad, Kristen, Theo, and Tony clash over a single question: is EJ behind this? The tension between them is palpable. Some argue that EJ's history of elaborate schemes makes him the obvious suspect. Others insist that the situation is too sloppy, too chaotic, too lacking in EJ's usual polished cruelty. Tony mutters that perhaps his exhaustion is turning the group paranoid, but even he cannot deny the glaring suspicion. Someone close to them orchestrated this imprisonment. And then, everything takes a bizarre turn. Digging toward the light, a plan too ridiculous to fail. Chad and Theo, driven by equal parts logic and desperation, propose a plan so absurd it almost makes sense. If they can't get out through the tunnels, they must go up. The ceiling of the catacomb, though solid, has a section that appears patched flimsier than the rest. A tomb with a dug-out floor and a flimsy ceiling. Kristen scoffs, but eventually even she admits it might be their only chance. The group begins their ascent, stacking crates, stone slabs, and even pieces of broken furniture to reach the weak point in the ceiling. But in true DiMera fashion, disaster strikes swiftly. Kristen, balancing precariously on a crate, slips. Her scream echoes through the chamber as she crashes down, spraining her ankle in a way that instantly halts their progress. Writhing in pain, she unleashes a tirade of curses, first at Chad for suggesting the plan, then at Tony for sleeping through the apocalypse, and finally at Rachel, whose attempt to calm her only ignites another round of shouting. The bone that changes everything. Theo, refusing to let the chaos distract him, pushes the group back on track. He refuses to accept that they will die underground because of internal drama. And unlike the rest, he has been quietly studying the room, searching for anything that might give them an advantage. That's when he finds it. Buried beneath a shallow layer of dirt, Theo uncovers something hard, smooth, and unmistakably human, a bone. A real one. Not an old relic from the original construction, not a prop. This is fresh enough to still carry flecks of decay. The room freezes. Even Kristen's pain momentarily fades as the group stares at the grim artifact in Theo's hands. Someone has died down here recently. And if someone has died in these tunnels, then whoever orchestrated the Demara's disappearance did not intend for all of them to survive. The discovery changes everything. Their fears evolve into a chilling new reality. If this tomb has already claimed one life, it may be designed to claim theirs too. The candle holder revelation. While the others spiral into panic, Theo remains the lone beacon of rationality. He examines the bone, then scans the chamber with renewed focus. And then he sees something the others somehow overlooked. Removable candlesticks mounted into the walls, their bases shaped like small shovels, almost as if they were intended for digging. The realization slams into him. The room wasn't designed as a tomb. It was designed as a trapone that requires the prisoners to dig if they wish to survive. He orders everyone to snap the candlesticks off their mounts, using them as makeshift tools to carve upward through the weakened ceiling. The shift from hopelessness to determined action is immediate. The group, galvanized by the knowledge that someone once dug here before them, Sophia, who left behind the bone that now warns them of what happens to those who fail. But the most haunting question remains unspoken. If someone dug before, who buried them afterward? A race against time. As the episode closes, the Demara's fate hangs in a fragile balance. Above ground, Leo races to expose Gwen and EJ's partnership. Rafa grapples with a police department on the verge of losing control. Kat pushes forward, convinced the truth is buried literally at their feet. And below ground, the Demaras dig through their fear, through the earth, and through the mystery of the bone that tells them death is far too close. The truth is clawing its way to the surface. All that remains to be seen is whether the Demaras will reach it first.